Hi, good evening. I'm Pierre Meintjes. I'm a master of the Quaich and I'm here for Whiskey app. The Keepers of the Quaich is a society that was started by the Scotch whisky producers who felt that they needed to honor people around the world, both in Scotland and of course around the world, for their contribution to Scotch whisky and to Scotland in general. So if you've got a real passion for whisky and for Scotland, you could be invited to become a keeper. You don't necessarily have to be employed directly in the industry the way I am, or the way some others are. You could just maybe an agent, a distributor, a journalist, or perhaps even a kilt maker. As long as you have a passion and an interest in Scotch, you could be nominated to become a keeper. If you're nominated to become a keeper, you go to Blair Castle in Scotland and you get inducted. We have 2 annual inductions and it's a wonderful event, a banquet, bagpipes, haggis, colour, music. It's a really fantastic event. You then become a keeper of the Quaich. If you've been a keeper of the Quaich for 10 years, and we have approximately 4,000 keepers in the world, in something like 85 countries. But if you've been a keeper for 10 years minimum, and you've performed what I call meritorious service to the Scotch whisky industry, you could be nominated to become a master of the Quaich. There are 159 masters in the world. I'm the only master in Africa, and this is what this little medal means. I'm a master of the Quaich. So we often ask, which is the correct way to drink Scotch whisky? Well, there is no right and there is no wrong way, particularly when it comes to blends. You've bought the bottle, you can drink it the way you want to. But traditionally, blended whiskies are drunk with ice, with water, with soda, however they want to do it. However, the most popular way of drinking blended Scotch whisky in Scotland right now is with dry ginger ale. So if you want to mix it with ginger ale, lemonade, or Coca-Cola, that's really up to you. That's the way you drink whiskey. However, tasting whiskey is very different. And what I've got here is a single malt. I'm also asked, when is the right time to drink a single malt? Do you drink it before a meal or after a meal? And in this case, I can definitely say the right time is definitely after a meal, as long as the meal is breakfast. Take the whiskey in a glass like this, which is slightly tulip shaped, as you can see. The idea is to try and get all the aromas and the character of the whiskey to come out the top of the glass. If it was in a big traditional tumbler, you would lose all that. In this shape of glass, it works well. Hold the whiskey up to the light, have a look at the color. Happy with that? Give it a little swirl to wake it up. Then you nose the whiskey. And when you nose whiskey, you put your nose into the glass, but open your mouth at the same time. Breathe through your nose and mouth, and you should be tasting the whiskey on the back of your throat. This particular whiskey is a Bunnahabhain 12-year-old. This is light and fruity, slightly nutty, beautiful taste on the palate. Remember, your nose, your sense of smell is your best sense. Your eyes are probably your worst sense. Take a little bit of water, a teaspoon. This is what we call in Scotland releasing the serpent. You've opened this whiskey up. And when you nose it now, you can smell there's a lot more going on. In fact, I can smell the citrus fruits in there, which I couldn't smell a moment ago. Then what we do is we take a sip. But because this is at full strength now, when you take a sip, you've got to keep your mouth closed. Take a good sip, hold it in your mouth, swirl it around in your mouth, and when you're comfortable, you swallow it like this. Delicious. Can't get much better than that. I'm often asked, after all these years, 46 years of being in the business, which is my most favorite, and I'm very, very lucky to have been able to drink some whiskies that are 60 years old. Some whiskies directly from casks, in distilleries, in warehouses. For me, it's all about the variety. And it depends on who you're with, where you are, how you're enjoying it. And waking up the next morning and saying, wow, what a wonderful time we had. And incidentally, the whiskey we drank was phenomenal as well. So to be able to say that particular whiskey is my favorite is impossible. And the best part about Scotch whiskey is that they are all different, whether they come from the Highlands or the Lowlands. Islay, Campbelltown or Speyside, all are very, very different. And that's what makes it so interesting.